All right, what's up? I'm Angela Yee, and I'm here with my Wealth Wednesdays co-host, Stacey Tisdale.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Wealth Wednesdays Book Club.
And we are thrilled to have as our first guest on our book club, Cassandra Cummings, who is the author of this fabulous book, Fearless Finance. And this is a timeless guide to wealth. And she'll be telling us all about that. And she's also the founder of the Stocks and Stilettos Society. And I know that's a network of over 100,000 women that invest. And I know you recently had a conference.
Yeah, I was actually at the Stocks and Stilettos conference in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I had a good time. I actually was the keynote with Cassandra sitting down with me. And you know what I loved about it is I was talking about my coffee shop. Coffee uplifts people and wanting to get investors in my brand. And immediately in the room, like 3 women were like, how can I invest?
Right.
Like they were definitely ready to go. And even afterward, people were coming up to me like, okay, I'm going to be hitting you up about investing in your coffee. So it's a place where it's not just about networking, but about really getting things done. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important. There were women in that room who really had the access to capital and really want to invest. And so, you know, I just think being in spaces like that is one of the most important things you can do as an entrepreneur. I always talk about the, I know it's like a phrase, but your network is your net worth. And that is so true.
You've been an entrepreneur for so long. You've been an entrepreneur for so long and an investor for so long. Do you guys feel like there's just a different energy with Black women around investing? I mean, we're having these conversations now. We're having such sophisticated conversations. I'm listening, you know, I've learned so much from you and listened to you. It feels new to a lot of people. What do you think's caused that kind of shift?
I think the shift has come because a lot of women are now entrepreneurial. And so now they have the money, they have the wherewithal, they have the education. And so now they want to be able to put their money to work. They no longer want their money to be unemployed. So now they want to actually put their money to work. And so they're actually very hungry for different investment opportunities. And that's why the Stocks and Stilettos Society, the Stocks to Star Summit is really key at this point in time.
You know, Cassandra, I thought about you because I was having a conversation with someone and they were kind of like talking about how they have these checks that they've just put in the bank and don't even think about that they've deposited. And I'm like, and they haven't touched that money yet, right? And I'm like, well, that's not necessarily a good idea. I never want my money to just sit in the bank.
Right.
And so can you explain why, for people who think that it's a good idea to just park your money in the bank and let it sit there, that's not the most powerful thing that you can do?
Right. I mean, I think you do have to have your emergency fund. That money should be parked at the bank, but you really have to put your money to work for you. And so I think looking at different investment opportunities, whether that be in the stock market, the real estate market, there's so many different ways in which you can invest in real estate. There's, you know, auctions, there's tax liens, there's hotels, there's commercial properties. There's different ways in which you can invest in the stock market. You can invest in equities, you can invest in options, you can invest in a lot of different things when it comes to stocks, commodities. You can invest in angel investing. So maybe you want to get behind another sister who is starting her own business. So you might want to infuse capital from an angel investment standpoint to help her really realize her entrepreneurial dreams. There are a lot of different ways in which you can invest. And I think women are becoming well versed in these different ways, and they're really putting their money behind these different opportunities.
And my favorite quote from the book is on that. You have to be the best thing that happened to your money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It was something that was told to me by another entrepreneur. Her name was Cece Gunn. She actually passed away at 36 from cancer. But I used to, you know, take her classes and so forth. And that was one of the things that stuck with me that I learned from her, is that you have to be the best thing that ever happened to your money, which basically says nobody's going to take care of your money like you are.
And earlier you talked about the stock market, and some people are really nervous about investing in the stock market.
Right.
I mean, we've seen, you know, a lot of down.
It's very
right
topsy-turvy.
Yeah. So can you talk about just the best ways to make sure that when you're investing in the stock market, you can still potentially make money in this up and down type of market?
Yeah, absolutely. I teach my ladies how to trade options. So we buy a lot of put contracts, meaning that we basically speculate that the market is going to go down, and we make money on those declines in the stock market. And so this is a way for us to really be able to hedge from losing so much money during these, very difficult and challenging times with the economy. But I think women just have to be well equipped in learning how to maneuver and navigate the stock market. Trading options is not for the faint of heart, but if you learn how to do it well, you can pay off. I've had women that have paid off, a lot of debt. They've put their kids through college. They've been able to dial back their time in retirement just by learning how to trade options. It's a way for you to make fast cash in the stock market where you don't have to necessarily wait for your money to mature like, Warren Buffett.
You don't even like the term retirement.
I hate that term because it seems like it's the death of something, right?
Yeah.
It's like, life is ending at retirement. I don't like that.
But you said Warren Buffett?
Yeah, Warren Buffett. It took him forever to become a billionaire, right? Because he was waiting on the stock market. And I think you do need that aspect. You need long-term investing and you need the short-term as well.
It was interesting listening to a conversation you guys were having earlier.
Okay.
You're talking about Black women getting much more involved in investing, being much more entrepreneurial. It's also changed how they can conduct themselves in relationships.
Yes.
I interviewed a tennis pro, Martina Navratilova, recently, and I'm like, what was your first big money mistake? Biggest money mistake ever? She said, my relationships.
Yeah.
Always. And talk about that, because relationships, Black women are heads of household, and 70% of all households in our community. So how does that affect?
Your best business decision that you'll ever make is who you decide to have children with. So you have to choose wisely who you're going to have children with, who you're going to marry with, marry that person. And I think that there's not enough emphasis put on that when we're teaching our young ladies about how to actually, choose a mate. And I think that choosing a mate is very important. And I think we have to be strategic about who we decide to do life with. And I think when you get to that certain point, you've got to have your own money. We heard that from, in our previous interview, that having your own money provides you with a different perspective on your mate, right? You're not necessarily dating or being with this person just for financial reasons. You're with this person because you love that person, you care about that person. And if you guys are, doing well financially, that's just icing on the cake. But you don't want to be with someone because you have to be with them for financial means.
Although I will say it's hard to predict. People change so much.
Yeah.
And people show you one side and then you think you're making a smart decision and then it ends up not being a smart decision.
Right.
But if you have that financial...
But if you can protect yourself financially.
Yeah, and that's the thing about having your own money, because I think a lot of men move as if they're athletes. Like, she's going to take half my money. But if you have your own money, that sets up the relationship
He's going to take half my money.
Right.
No, exactly.
I don't want to have to pay you alimony, right? Because now I'm pissed that I have to pay you alimony. But you don't want to get caught in that situation either, right?
Now, I'm in the chapter about real estate. Thank you. I was excited. I said, oh, Angela Yee. So I wanted to ask you this. People are really nervous about real estate right now because interest rates are so high.
Right.
Some people are feeling like this is not a good time to purchase. What are your thoughts about that? And what are some things people can do? Because at the same time, I've always said from when I was young, owning a home is really important to me. So for people who don't own a home yet, what would you tell them?
I mean, according to my girl, Shatwana Dean, she's out here buying, properties at auctions and things like that. Let her tell it, America is on sale. There are still a lot of good real estate deals. You just have to pivot. Maybe you can't buy that single family home. Maybe you can't buy your dream home just yet. You might have to buy that fixer to get into the real estate market, flip it or live in it for a minute. And then as the real estate market rebounds, roll that equity into something that you really want to live in. So you may have to go about it in a different way than what we've known traditionally, right?
And there's keeping that in context.
Yeah.
So many people who are investing now and getting in real estate now, this is their first time at the rodeo. They're like, oh my God, interest rates are so high. Interest rates are not.
They're historically low.
They're still historically
right.
low. And the Federal Reserve is making they're reacting to an emergency situation. People don't
Exactly.
realize how they had to just drop everything
Right.
to, fix the COVID economy, and then we overheated, and now they're just trying to engineer a soft landing with this.
Exactly.
So, give us your take on that, because really excited to see all the new energy about investing and real estate buying, but so many people have to just kind of keep it in context.
Right. I mean, I think the cost of borrowing has ticked up a little bit, but it's still relatively low. Like we said, there's still historically low rates to get in on real estate. That just means that you may not buy as big of a house as you would like to, but you can still buy real estate. And I think that, there are a lot of other ways in which you can buy real estate if, in fact, this is your first time owning a home or anything like that. You may not be able to live in the area you want to live in. You may have to live in a different location. You may have to make some sacrifices when it comes to real estate. Now, real estate investing, that's a different animal because there could be deals everywhere. I'm a part of a real estate investment group. We're looking at different land deals in Atlanta. We're looking at different, condominium deals in South Carolina. We're looking at a lot of different deals right now that are good for the taking. And so it just depends on where you are in your real estate investing journey.
Yeah, I'm buying with two of my friends. We're buying a 30-unit building in Midtown Detroit.
Yeah.
And honestly, like the building is worth more than $2 million in what we're paying for it. So we're already walking into it.
Yeah, with the equity.
Yeah, with that equity.
Good.
Now, I want to ask you as an entrepreneur and as building out Stocks and Stilettos, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are listening right now. So can you talk about that journey and what inspired you to do that? When you started, I mean, it's really grown into like over 100,000
Black
people, Black women in this Facebook group. So can you talk about that journey?
Yeah, I left the firm. I was with an investment banking firm, and it was really different because we had been trained to go after affluent people to bring their money to us to invest on their behalf. And so when I started up Stocks and Stilettos, I mean, the hunger for this type of knowledge was incredible. And now I had women coming to me like, teach me, I want to learn. And it was overwhelming at first. And then as we grew, we basically started growing because we were teaching people financial literacy. And so we were teaching women like, hey, you can do this too. And they have always wanted to learn how to invest in the stock market or real estate investing and things like that. And so it just took off. I couldn't believe how
You started with 25 people in the group, and it went.
Like overnight, it was 3,000 people.
Wow.
And then they started telling people, and then they started telling people. It was just crazy how it started to grow, which was a sign that there was really a need for it. They needed someone to be the voice for them. And even when I was, with the firm at that time, I saw there was a need because a lot of my clients did not look like me. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know so many Black women who are well educated. They have great positions at their companies. Why aren't we having these investment conversations with them? And that's what prompted me to help say, this must be an educational gap. They must not be getting the exposure. So let me, start this up and talk more about investing and really create this safe space where they can ask questions without feeling embarrassed or shameful that they didn't know what is a stock, how do you buy your first stock. And that's basically, why I think we became really popular.
As entrepreneurs, there's a lot of great ideas. You saw a need, you filled it. But I want to know our Wealth Wednesdays Entrepreneurs Group, our new group, First Book Club. I'm so excited. A lot of great ideas out there. None of them work without an execution plan.
Right.
What would you say is the one thing that made I'm sure there were many things, but if you had to say, okay, this was the one part of my strategy that took it from idea to successful business, what would you say that was?
I would say paying for coaching. I don't have a problem paying for acceleration. And I think when you get with people, because I knew how to do the financial advisement piece of it, but I wasn't really strong on running a business. Those are two different things. And so once I paid for coaching, paid for mentorship, that took my business to a whole different level. So I would say, pay for that acceleration.
Invest in yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we have the book, You want to hold up the book for us?
Yeah.
Fearless
Fearless
Finance.
Finances.
And it's a timeless guide to building wealth. And what do you think people will be surprised that they can learn about you in the book, and how can people buy it?
Learn about me. I think the surprising part is that I would say the surprising part would be that, you know, I've overcome a lot to get to where I am. To become a seven-figure earner doesn't happen overnight. And so this journey has been long-standing. I'm almost 50 years old. And I think the
Black
other
don't crack. Can we just put that out there?
I know.
Okay.
and I think the surprising part is that, you know, I want women in their 40s to know it's not too late for
Right.
you. I started over at 42. And so it's not too late for you to do what you want to do, sis. And I think that that's probably going to be the surprising thing.
Right. You said at 35 you were about to buy a house, and then
Yes.
you changed your mind
I
and got
did.
talked out of it. But and then again, you know, afterward. But you do have to be fearless.
You have
like
to
you
be
said.
fearless.
To be fearless.
Yes, because fear definitely wastes time. And if you're fearless with your finances, you'll get to your goals that much faster.
We toast.
Toast.
Cassandra, cheers.
Cheers to being fearless.
I know our book club is going to be a little bit different. But thank you so much. Congratulations and happy Wealth Wednesday, everybody.